So excited to introduce you all to everything that I have going on. It's been a lot of movement in my life. Like I keep telling y'all, and I'm gonna keep telling y'all until y'all ears bleed, that God has been shifting and moving me in my life. And I think I'm realizing it a lot more now because I pay attention and I'm very intentional about the way that I move now. So I can't wait to share everything with my new subscribers. So the people who are not subscribed, make sure you click the subscribe button because I'm about to take y'all on this journey with me, and get ready. So today's topic is all about my move. So for those of you who don't know, I am from Atlanta, but I just recently relocated to Dallas, Texas. Woo! And it was literally like strictly a faith-based move. You know, something that God moved in my heart and revealed to me in several different ways. And I will speak about that in another video. But this video is all about the expenses of moving from one state to another state, more specifically from Atlanta to Dallas. Just a little backstory. When I was living in Atlanta, I grew up in Atlanta, but I didn't grow up in the city. But before I left, I was actually living downtown in the city, Grant Park area. But now I'm in Dallas. I'm not too far out from the city. I didn't want to stay in the city this time. I wanted to see how I was living like in the suburban areas and all of that type of stuff or whatever. But it's just right outside of the city, probably about 15 minutes away. So yes, I'm not in the city. So I wanted y'all to get a feeling for that before I actually gave y'all the prices of everything, because I'm gonna go over everything, like literally my, you know, how much I had to pay for my apartment out here and literally everything. So here we go. And just to throw it out there, a lot of people, especially in Atlanta, think just because this is Texas, everything is cheaper because they see all those houses being built that are super nice and stuff, and they're cheaper than the average homes in Atlanta based off of where they at. Dallas ain't no cheaper than Atlanta, okay? To be honest, I'm actually paying more for rent for my apartment than I was in Atlanta, and I was in the city, and I'm probably paying about $200 or $300 more. But I do have more square footage, just a little bit more, probably about 200, close to 300 more square footage. So that's the major difference. Okay, so let's get into pricing. Like I told y'all, I'm not holding back. I'm giving y'all all the details that you need to know. So if you're thinking about moving out of state or moving to another city, this will give you an idea of a cost estimate of different things if you're planning on doing something like this. Okay, so just to start you guys off, I rented a Penske truck. Didn't do U-Haul. My original plans was to get a U-Haul. Somebody told me about the U-Haul U-boxes, and I was gonna get all my stuff put in there and get it shipped off. But the only thing that I didn't like about it, you had to have your stuff packed up and ready to go like at least 2 weeks in advance before you were leaving. So literally all your stuff would have to be packed up before you would even be ready to go. And I wasn't ready for that, you know? Like I was a last minute packer and I needed my stuff, you know? I really needed my stuff. So I was gonna do that, but plans didn't really go accordingly. So I had changed it, and I'm glad that I did change it. So I ended up renting a Penske truck. The Penske truck in total was $985.45. So I had, I think the 20-foot truck, the next biggest truck where you can tow a car on the back. So I had that truck, and I also got a car carrier for the back, and they added that on there for just $1. So if you're looking for something affordable, a more inexpensive move, and you have a lot of stuff to move, definitely look into Penske. That's going to be your most affordable option when it comes to like booking U-Haul or budget, because I did check both of those, and those were pretty pricey. I even got quotes for U-Haul. The U-Haul U-Box was like $1,200. Me driving the U-Haul with my car attached to the back, that was like $2,000. And it's crazy because I was gonna pay the $1,200, but then I ended up getting a quote from Penske because I was having issues with finding like a car shipping company that was reasonably priced, because they kept going up on pricing, and I'm like, I'm not trying to pay over $500 or $600. So I ended up calling and getting a quote from Penske, and Penske actually really swayed my whole trip and made me just drive. I wasn't even trying to drive. I had a flight booked and everything. Like, I paid for my flight ticket and everything. So Penske truck, $985.45. The gas on the road, we stopped about 4 times, I believe. So the gas in total to get here to fill up that Penske truck was $273.71. So $273.21. That's really not that bad for that big huge truck, and it was pushing for a good amount of time too. It's really not that bad in pricing for gassing up the truck. So like I said, it was about $70. That's close to, yeah, we did about 4 stops. So we stopped only 4 times, so that was good. I got an expense in here. I don't know if it's legal for me to say it, so I'm not gonna say it, but the people that know, it's for apartment stuff. And it's crazy because I really didn't need it. The way y'all, if you saw my video on Instagram, the way that my job situation happened, and the way when I started my job here, it wasn't gonna be in time enough for me to have what I needed. So read between the lines. That was $100, okay? I had to pay, you know, for my deposits and everything, for my rent here and all of that stuff. So my rent here, with it prorated and everything like that, because I actually started my actual leasing date probably a week or 2 before I was coming, because I wanted to lock in my apartment before it got taken, because I found it and I knew it was the one I wanted and I didn't want it to get taken. So I locked that in. That was $1,755.62. So $1,755.22. Okay. So I also had to, you know, you get an apartment, you have to pay for all these bills to get cut on so you can have the apartment. So I had to get my electricity cut on. So the deposit for the electricity was $200 just to get the account started. So that's allowed me to get the actual electricity cut on. So $200. And oh, I didn't include the admin fee and the application fee for my apartment. That was $280 added on to my rent, which included my deposit. So for my rent, I had to pay a deposit, an admin fee, and an application fee. Crazy. So like I told y'all, I had paid for a flight originally because I didn't think I was gonna drive. So I ended up having to cancel my flight. So my flight was $138. We're not gonna really count that in there, but I still use my money to pay for it. So now I only have my Delta credits. So it's okay because I'll be traveling. So I'll just use it then, but I'll include that in the cost. So if you plan on driving, look to add in your flight fee. I mean, if you plan on flying, look into adding your flight fee. And then for my rent at my old apartment, the last prorated amount of rent that I had to pay, because I literally left probably that second week of January. Yeah, so it prorated, it was $886, so $886. And y'all know y'all probably listening to these amounts like, woo, that stuff expensive. It is, but make sure you got your ducks in a row so you don't have to worry about this stuff when it's time for you to move, okay? You shouldn't have to worry about money. But even then, God will still supply you with what you need when the time comes. But let me not get off subject. I'm gonna make another video for that because you're gonna be prepared whether you think you are or not, okay? Also, I had to get renter's insurance. I had to switch over my renter's insurance from Georgia to Texas, and that was just only $14 a month. I was gonna go ahead and switch over my car insurance, but I'm gonna wait because I need to go car insurance shopping because I'm with State Farm now, but I literally only pay like $177 a month for my car insurance now. I try to get a quote from them for Texas. They talking about almost $400, and I'm like, what's the problem? But they were saying something about how it starts over when you go into another state, and I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna see if I can get something cheaper, cause your girl ain't trying to pay $400 for car insurance. Like, I'm not high risk. Of course, you know, had to pay for food on the road and stuff like that, and that just depends on how you eat. Like, I'm not a huge eater, so I wasn't really eating a whole lot. Make sure, you know, you definitely bring your snacks and your waters and drinks and stuff on the road or whatever. Also, moving supplies. So I paid about $100 in moving supplies. So for boxes and tape and stuff like that, wrapping paper, packing paper, and all of that stuff. Now, with moving supplies, well, I'm gonna tell you at the end of the video, okay? All of those things totaled together comes up to $4,975.28, okay? Now, let me go back over these things because I want to break them down specifically, and give y'all suggestions as far as like what you could do to be more cost efficient and save more money. Because I'm not gonna lie, I can get a little bougie sometimes. So some of the stuff that I do, most people won't do, you know. And I still like a good deal too. So I'm not even gonna say I don't like be, I don't want to say cheap, but cost efficient sometimes. Of course, going back to the apartment fees and stuff like that, there's nothing that I could do as far as getting that lower unless I chose to move to another apartment. But I like where I live. I like how it looks. I want to be comfortable coming home, being in a space where I'm comfortable and not have to worry about nothing, and just opening my eyes and being okay with where I'm at, you know? Like, all of that stuff really matters. It really plays a role on your mental for real and how you view things. But that's just me personally. So if I wanted to get a cheaper apartment, I could have done that because they definitely have cheaper options out here. For the Penske truck, if you're moving out of state and you want to save money, I highly recommend going Penske, okay? If they had a referral program, I would send y'all my link because like the experience was just seamless. Like, I really didn't have anything to worry about. But yeah, go Penske. U-Haul gonna run you a lot more money if you try to do a U-Haul, U-Box. I just really didn't like I love the idea of them taking your stuff, because literally that's what they do. You pack up your stuff into a U-Box, and then they take your stuff. And that's what was adding on all the pricing for me, because I was gonna have a moving company pick the U-Box up, bring it to my home, move all my stuff out, pack the U-Box up, and then take the U-Box back to U-Haul. And then I think they give you like 2 or 3 days for you to access the U-Box before you can't access it no more, because it'll be on the road. That's the only thing that I didn't like about it, having to pack up my stuff that soon in advance, especially if I wasn't leaving that soon. But other than that, I think that's a good option as well. You'll save a lot more money if you have somebody to help you move stuff in, or if you have a truck to actually pick up the U-Box. But if not, don't go U-Box, okay? It's gonna cost you. U-Haul with the car carrier on the back, over $2,000, absolutely not. But that was my whole thing, because I was definitely going to take my car, but I didn't want to drive my car because I didn't want to add all those miles on it. So I was looking into car shipping services, and I was getting quotes. Like, my first quote was $500. I was willing to pay that, but I wasn't for certain on the date that I was coming. Once I was for certain, they were going up in prices, $600, $700, $800. Like, I don't know, some of them be trying to judge. So you got to make sure that you go to the right company. I went with eShip because I seen another girl on here talking about it when she moved. I was gonna go with eShip. The person who got the truck driver, they of course charge you a fee because they bringing a person to you. But originally she had told me like $150, then she tried to go up $250. I'm like, girl, you told me $150 last time. What are we talking about right now? Anyway, so yeah, most cost efficient, Penske. Now I will say, with driving a truck like that, it's a task, because you're driving with the big boys. Like, you're driving with the 18-wheelers and all that. So if you're a good driver and you're not, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared too, but I'm a pretty good driver. I like to say I'm like the best female driver for real. It's a little tricky, and I'm not gonna say it is tricky, especially if you have a car carrier in the back, because the way you gotta reverse the truck, the car carrier go the opposite way, then you gotta get it in the right spot so you can go the way. It's very tricky. So if you're not a good driver, highly wouldn't recommend it. If you know how to maneuver your way around stuff and figure things out, I definitely would recommend it for you. But when you're driving with them big dogs, you gotta be careful, because I already hate driving by big trucks, but being in another big truck next to another big truck, you driving and your truck starting to get a little shaky. It's almost like your alignment, because I kept saying I think they need a new alignment or something. They need to fix the alignment in this truck, but it kind of could feel like that. So you gotta really know how to hold it and keep it in place. But go Penske. So I went through rent, I went through the gas. Of course, gas prices, you know, you can't get no cheaper than what it is right now. And then everything else, like moving supplies. That's what I really wanted to talk about. Moving supplies. So, like I told y'all, I spent about $100 in moving supplies. I did not have to spend that much. I've moved before from city to city when I was in Georgia, and I didn't pay for boxes. But this time, I felt like I was a little rushed. I didn't want to have to go around to different places looking for boxes. So I tried, I'm not gonna lie, I did try, but I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just pay for it. I don't got time for that. And I actually went to like a warehouse that actually houses like moving materials and boxes, and it was the coolest thing because I didn't know they had something like that. And the prices are not that bad too. I was just being extra because I got a lot of different stuff. Like I had got what is it, the bubble wraps, and so I can wrap it around my big mirror or whatever, and packing paper and just different boxes and stuff. But to be cheap, to be cost efficient, go to these stores, go to Walmart's, go to these PetSmarts, go to these big department stores. They have boxes, y'all, for free. A lot of people be moving and they don't be knowing where to find boxes from. Literally, that's what I used to do before. I would go to these different places, and it don't really take that long, but I just didn't feel like doing it this time. But you can literally go from store to store and say, hey, like, y'all have some boxes that y'all want to give away? Like, I was going to Publix. Like, I used to go to Publix, PetSmart, like literally place, because they have to unpack their stuff, and all they do is break down their boxes and put them in the back with the dumpster. Now, that's another thing you could do. Go check by the dumpsters and see if boxes is back there, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't know what's been back there. I didn't know, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get them fresh out of the store. So yes, definitely do that for your moving supplies. And then everything else, it's kind of what you have to do. Your move out fees from wherever you're leaving from, if you have any. But yes, if you're moving, I wish you the best of luck. Definitely comment under this video below if you are planning on moving out of your state to another state, or planning on staying in your state and moving from city to city, and just want to know some cost-effective like moving advice. But this is what happened for me. This is what worked for me in Dallas. This is the cheapest I could get it for myself. Literally, it was about $5,000 for me to move from state to state, and I was pretty much prepared for that. But it's crazy because I was only prepared because I thought it was going to cost way more. I thought I was going to at least be spending close to like $8,000 to $10,000 based off of like what I was seeing. But when you really sit down, do your research, and not going with the first thing that you see, you'll find stuff that works for you. So yes, it cost me about $5,000 to move from Atlanta to Texas in a matter of weeks, y'all, literally weeks. So I hope this video was helpful for y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. The next video is going to be about moving as well, but it's going to be more so about God leading you into your move, God showing you the signs that you need to see in order for you to move. And that's literally what happened for me. Like, that's the only reason why I'm in Dallas right now, because God called me to come here, and the only reason I knew God called me to come here was through the signs that I saw, so I will go more into detail about that in my next video. Stay tuned, but thank you so much again for joining Becoming Brittany J, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.